Hey, hey, hey!
Hunting Coins here. Today I want to talk about how I rate my ICOs and talk a bit about my spreadsheet. So if you've been on my Telegram channel, you probably have seen that I have a spreadsheet that's been out for a while. So I just want to talk about the different metrics in my spreadsheet and how I rate everything. So our rating is taken after you rate all these individual metrics. For the hard cap, the median is about 25 million to 30 million. So if you're in that range, you get around 50%. So for example, you've seen that I've given Gems and Go Network a rather low rating. That's because they're doing an uncapped ICO. And if you're doing uncapped ICO, there'll be no unmet demand. So that's a negative. At the same time, Metronome's also doing an uncapped ICO. But the reason they're getting a rather higher mark compared to the other ICOs is because they're not keeping any of the funds. And it's all the Ethereum ethers collected from the ICO will be put in a smart contract to provide price support. Let's take a look at the team section. The team section is how experienced your team members are in the blockchain space and whether they will have the ability to deliver what the ICO wants to deliver. The idea is how original the idea is. So if there's no other ICO tackling the space, you get a higher mark. But if there are other ICOs tackling that area, then you get a lower mark. So for Next, there's no decentralized Neo exchange, so it makes sense for me to give them a higher mark. The connections is how well connected the ICO is to other blockchain projects or what kind of advisors they have. So if you have the founders of Neo as your advisor, you get a much higher mark. And if you have a well-experienced Bitcoin dev or a famous Bitcoin personnel, then you would get a higher mark as well. You can also see that Winding Tree scores very high in the connection side because they are partnered with actual airlines, so they'll get a very high mark in that aspect. Product is how feasible the idea is. So if it's something that is not attainable, for example, create a mobile-first network when you have nothing working, then you get a lower mark. But if you're able to show a demo or you have actual experience in that aspect, then you'll get a higher mark. The hype is how many Telegram, Twitter followers, or Reddit subscribers you have, and also the amount of searches you have on Google Trends. Long term is the performance in the long run. So if your ICO can deliver what it wants to deliver, then you'd get a higher mark. For example, I'm fairly confident that Next will be able to deliver a Neo decentralized exchange. And at the same time, I'm not very confident in credits and revolutionizing payment because there's so many competition in the blockchain space. ICO distribution is a percentage of tokens that are distributed to the token holders. So Metronome is giving 80% of the tokens to the participants, so they get a higher mark. Finally, red flag score is very subjective and it's deducted from the final mark. So if you're running an uncapped ICO, you'd get a minus 10%. And if you're doing something that is very fishy, for example, false partnerships, then you get some marks taken off that as well. And if it's a scam, then you probably get all the marks deducted. And if your website got hacked during your KYC, you get some marks taken off that. And you can see here the weight distributions for each of the ratings, which is very subjective. So take this as a grain of salt, but I hope you enjoyed the spreadsheet. And if you have any feedback, feel free to join the Telegram channel and let us know.